So the ATF tried to outright defy the nationwide vacatur of the pistol brace rule, and they claimed that they could still treat braced pistols as SBRs. But now the Trump administration is taking back control, so we need to talk about what happens now going forward with this pistol brace issue. Now, before we jump into this video, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is TacPack. TacPack is a subscription-based box that delivers tactical and EDC gear to your front door every single month. Every month, TacPack offers 2 different tiers. You can either get the standard tier or the plus box. And right now, TacPack is doing something very special for my viewers. If you use the code ARMED and it's your first time ordering from TacPack, you will receive a free $60 tactical gear box along with your subscription. So I will leave a link down below to TacPack in the pinned comment and also in the details section. And again, if it's your first time signing up, make sure you use my code ARMED. As I mentioned in the intro, in this video, I have some important news about the battle against the ATF and their current restrictions on braced pistols as SBRs. Even though there's currently a nationwide vacatur on the pistol brace rule and multiple preliminary injunctions which are protecting various 2A organizations and their memberships, there are very important administration changes that will no doubt actually impact the prior administration's attacks on pistol braces. Last we talked about this whole pistol brace issue, we had reports that there were employees of the ATF that were still making statements that they could, in fact, still enforce the interpretation of braced pistols as SBRs, and their position was that under the pure statutory text of the NFA, they could treat braced pistols as SBRs. This, of course, was very concerning, and GOA, Gun Owners of America, actually pressed the ATF on that position, and the ATF responded and in some ways walked back those prior statements. Now, currently, there are major pistol brace lawsuits going on. One of the most important is the Mock versus Garland lawsuit, which is pending in front of the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals, and currently we are waiting for oral arguments in that lawsuit. However, now with the Trump administration back in charge and control of the ATF, there are multiple options that his administration could actually deploy that would not only impact this lawsuit, Mock versus Garland, but all the other lawsuits, but also could overall just significantly change this fight against the ATF and ATF's current overreach. Now, you may recall that the ATF recently decided to roll the dice and appeal multiple pistol brace cases up to the 5th Circuit. Those appeals came in multiple cases, the Mock versus Garland case, the Brito versus Garland case, and then a ton of other consolidated lawsuits. Now, a bunch of those lawsuits were appeals of preliminary injunctions that were issued by district courts out of the federal courts in Texas. Now, while a bunch of those preliminary injunction reviews were pending in the 5th Circuit, you had Judge Reed O'Connor, who then issued a final merits decision in the Mock lawsuit, and he struck down the pistol brace rule entirely nationwide, and that was a final merits decision. So that is the most significant decision we've received on this pistol brace issue. Now, in his decision, Judge O'Connor stated that at the conclusion of the majority's careful analysis, they held that the final rule is properly characterized as a legislative rule, and it is relatively straightforward that the final rule was not a logical outgrowth from the proposed rule. Therefore, the final rule must be set aside as unlawful or otherwise remanded for appropriate remediation. Now, that decision was huge because it was a final merits decision, and that's what's currently protecting everyone in possession of braced pistols. Now, of course, in response to that final decision by Judge O'Connor, the ATF decided to appeal up to the 5th Circuit. Now, when the Mock final merits decision made its way to the 5th Circuit, the 5th Circuit then decided to moot and essentially hold all of the other consolidated preliminary injunction cases and kind of sent them back down because the Mock case was more important. So the 5th Circuit decided to focus their entire attention on that Mock case. Now, currently, all of the briefs have been submitted to the 5th Circuit in the Mock case, and we're currently waiting for oral arguments to take place at the 5th Circuit level. Now, like I mentioned, there were also some very interesting developments from, recent GOA interactions with the ATF, where they seem to take the position that despite the rule currently being blocked, the ATF believed that they could potentially still enforce their pistol brace theory purely under the statutory text of the NFA and GCA. But now a lot of that is going to change because the Trump administration is back in charge, and there are plenty of options that the Trump administration has to cure this issue. So let's talk about some of those options that Trump and his administration have when it comes to this pistol brace issue and just ATF overreach in general. And we need to talk about the implications of each of those options. Now, first, the Trump administration could simply just rescind or potentially modify that ATF rule when it comes to pistol braces. The administration can direct the ATF to actually withdraw or amend their existing rule on pistol braces. Now, this could potentially involve something, kind of a longer process of initiating a new rulemaking process, including a public comment period, and to potentially reverse or alter the current regulations. And so that is a longer process, but that would be a little bit more permanent, and it would be a clear statement that no braced pistols are not in fact SBRs and would set a stronger precedent going forward. Second, one of the options could be that his administration could simply cease to actually defend any of the ongoing litigation on the pistol brace issue. His administration may just choose to stop defending the pistol brace rule or tell the courts that no, they are no longer of the position. The ATF's position no longer is that they want to defend these lawsuits, that they agree with the courts that have multiple times in preliminary injunction reviews and final merits decisions found that this rule is invalid. They could say that, yeah, we agree, we're no longer going to defend these lawsuits. And then that could lead to a ruling by these courts that would invalidate kind of the entire rule and set again a stronger precedent going forward to where you would not have a administration down the road that could try to pass a similar rule, because then you would have strong precedent sitting in circuit courts like the 5th Circuit and the 8th Circuit actually saying that these types of braced pistol rules are invalid. Now, the third option is the Trump administration could simply issue new guidance. We've seen the ATF issue guidance and guidance letters multiple times on not just the pistol brace issue, but other issues as well. The ATF could release new guidance clarifying that stabilizing braces do not convert pistols into SBRs, effectively nullifying their previous rules and the impacts of that rule. Now, the issue with this option in my eyes is that we've seen guidance letters and guidance in general by the ATF kind of been thrown aside. When the ATF wants to do something new with a new administration, oftentimes we've seen guidance and guidance letters kind of get thrown aside and they just do whatever they want. For example, with this very issue of pistol braces, we had prior guidance letters by the ATF saying that pistol braces do not make something into an SBR, but then the ATF just overrid all of that, said that in their actual final rule, all those prior guidance letters are no longer valid and you only look at the new rule. So guidance letters, could be something good, or a new guidance could be something good, but it's not something very concrete. And I would like one of the other options because I think those would be a little bit more concrete and would have more effect on this issue going forward. Now, all those options that I mentioned would directly impact these current lawsuits against the pistol brace rule. If the rule is rescinded or amended, ongoing lawsuits challenging the rule may actually become moot, leading to the dismissal of those lawsuits. Same thing with a guidance of the ATF. The ATF put out a guidance letter or just general guidance on this issue saying, no, we no longer have the position that braced pistols can make something into an SBR. Then there would be clearly a mooting of those lawsuits and they would get dismissed as well. Now, with that, also with the rule rescinding or creating a new rule, there could be an interesting turn of events where the Trump ATF created a new rule saying that pistol braces cannot make something into an SBR. And that could actually lead to an interesting avenue where there would be litigation maybe by an anti-gun group like Everytown that would then sue the ATF over that new rule. And then they would have the Trump administration, the Trump ATF, actually defending the now pro-2A pistol brace interpretation in the courts against an anti-gun group like Everytown or Giffords or someone like that who did not like the new pistol brace rule or guidance. That would be a very interesting turn of events where you would have the ATF actually defending, the Second Amendment and pro-2A positions going forward. And again, that would just kind of be something hypothetical, but that would be an interesting scenario. Now, the other option, like I mentioned, is the Trump administration could simply say that they're no longer going to defend the ATF's prior position in these lawsuits, and kind of, ceasing to defend that rule would result in courts striking down these rules, setting legal precedent in the 5th Circuit, 8th Circuit, and all the other cases that are currently developing on this issue. So with Trump and his administration now taking over, there are going to be some very interesting options going forward. So as we get more information, as things develop and as this unravels, I will let you guys know. If you like this video and you like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. But as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.